Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. So look, history has a lot of gaps in it. Things that happen that nobody can fully explain, no matter how hard scientists and historians try. And today we're going over 7 of them. Trust me, some of these are going to stick with you. So let's start with something that happened in the winter of 1855 inches, Devon, England. People woke up one morning and found these strange hoof-like prints in the snow. And normally that wouldn't be a big deal, right? But these tracks went over 100-foot walls, across rooftops, and straight through solid haystacks, in a perfectly straight line. For 160 kilometers. People called them the Devil's Footprints. And to this day, nobody has ever found an animal or a person that could do something like that. Now, this next one is just straight up terrifying. In 1518, in France, one woman just started dancing in the street. That's it. Just dancing. But then more people joined her, and more. Until about 400 people were dancing uncontrollably and couldn't stop. We're talking days, weeks. People were collapsing from exhaustion, having strokes, some even dying. Nobody knows what caused it. A fungus in the food, a kind of mass hysteria. Nobody has a solid answer. Then there's Roswell, 1947. A rancher finds strange metallic debris in a New Mexico field, and the army actually came out and said they recovered a flying saucer. The very next day, they walked it back and said, "Oh no, just a weather balloon." But 30 years later, the intelligence officer who handled the debris said the metal couldn't be bent, cut, or burned by anything they had. So what exactly was it? Okay, this one is a little different, but honestly it might be the most unbelievable story in here. In 1923, a dog named Bobby got separated from his family while they were traveling in Indiana, which is about 4,000 kilometers away from their home in Oregon. 6 months later, Bobby showed up at their front door. He had crossed mountains, rivers, freezing terrain, all of it. Completely on his own. People call it instinct, but honestly that word doesn't really do it justice. The Mary Celeste is one of those stories that just doesn't sit right with you. In 1872, this ship was found floating in the Atlantic completely on its own. Everything was fine on board. Food was prepared, supplies were stocked, nothing was damaged. But every single crew member was gone. No signs of a fight. No blood. Nothing. Just an empty ship drifting in the middle of the ocean. Most people know Amelia Earhart as the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. But in 1937, while she was attempting to fly around the entire world, she disappeared somewhere over the Pacific Ocean. They launched the biggest search in history and found absolutely nothing. Not a piece of the plane. Not anything. Some people think she crashed. Others believe she landed on a remote island and waited for a rescue that just never came. And then there's Kuldhara. In the early 1800s, this was a fully functioning village in India, with around 5,000 people living there. Then one night, every single person left. But here's what makes it so unsettling. When people came to check the next morning, the fires were still going and food was still sitting on the stoves. It looked like everyone had just gotten up mid-meal and walked out. They left behind a curse, saying no one would ever be able to live there again. The village has been completely abandoned ever since. So which one of these got to you the most? Drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to see what people think. And if you're into stuff like this, make sure you subscribe, because we've got a lot more where that came from.